Whenever you think of Angel Reese, people often mention Caitlin Clark. You've said in interviews, there's no beef, but the media keeps going on. So how do you feel about that situation?
Caitlin is an amazing player, and I've always thought she was an amazing player. We've been playing each other since high school. So I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans that are like, they ride for her. And I respect that respectfully, but sometimes it's very disrespectful. I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that. But when it comes to death threats, like I'm talking about people have come down to my address, follow me home. Like it's come down to that. Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me like naked, literally.
Really?
They have sent it to my family members. My family members are like, uncles are sending it to me like,
no.
Are you naked on Instagram? It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through that, and now seeing other players even having to go through that. But like, at the end of the day, it's a game that we do both love, but there is no hate.
And people there's new fans, but how do you appreciate the new fans without all the noise that's coming
I don't
with
appreciate
them?
the new fans that sit there and yell racial slurs at myself, my teammates, and the people that I play against. Because
James and Chloe.
Caitlin, when your head coach came out with a statement today saying she announces all the racism that some people have felt in this league, players, trolls online, all those things, as one of the biggest stars in this league, what are your thoughts on the things not only your teammates have to endure, but just the entire league? And obviously, you've spoken on this before, but just now that your coach and your GM are talking about it as well.
Yeah, it's definitely upsetting. I don't think nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments and threats. Those aren't fans, those are trolls, and it's a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization, the WNBA.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about the WNBA because it seems like these women are hell-bent. They are hell-bent on destroying a league that is more relevant today than ever because of one player, and that is Caitlin Clark, okay? And all of the jealous, hating women in this league are trying to destroy the league because they are jealous of Caitlin Clark and her success because she's white and straight, and the fact that fans are attracted to the game because of her, and nobody gave a damn about the WNBA before Caitlin Clark. Because Caitlin Clark is the reason why the WNBA is currently relevant. It is the reason why they're breaking records when it comes to viewership, attendance, jersey sales, sponsorships, revenue. They're breaking these records because of one player and one player only. And we got to talk about some pretty damning evidence to support this claim, okay? But before we talk about that, we got to talk about the main purpose of this video, right? Which is that as the season comes to an end, right? The WNBA season comes to an end. These women are coming out and they're boohoo, whining, and crying racism, right? They're claiming that they have been victims of racism and hate online from fans, right? Caitlin Clark fans, okay? Caitlin Clark fans are terrorizing them, right? And they feel like they're victims because people are saying mean racist things to them online. And WNBA players have spoke out about this. Brittany Griner, Angel Reese, others, okay? They tried to get a reporter fired for asking one of the WNBA players questions about her poking Caitlin Clark in the eye and whether or not it was intentional, and they basically tried to get the reporter fired because they accused the reporter of racism and bigotry for asking a question. And you now have people like Megan Rapinoe, who's a washed up U.S. women's soccer team player. She is going on record and also boohoo, whining, and crying about the racism that these lesbian black women are allegedly experiencing in the WNBA, along with Sue Bird, who also is going along with this narrative. Take a look.
I'll tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to allow that.
Well, can we just like call a spade a spade? Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us, that other people are surprised by this. We've been trying to tell you. And once again, for so long, as a player, I would almost joke. I'd be like, I would have loved to have shut up and dribble. In so many ways, I would have loved to have been valued as a basketball player. I would have been loved to have been spoken about just for my play. I think everybody in the league can say that. But nobody ever let us do that. So what happened? We started to build a backbone, a little bit of an identity.
Got
we
organized.
understood that in order to push our league forward, we were going to have to combat these things. And then you know what else we learned? It feels good to stand up for yourself. It feels even better to stand up for others. We started to learn that people were learning from us and able to follow us in a different way. And who are we following? Black women. So that's such an important part. And I think, again, I get sad when I talk about this a little bit in that we're still not talking about basketball.
No.
We're still not
still
allowed
not. Yeah.
to be focused on for our basketball play. And it's not to say we're not going to continue to combat these things. That'll always exist, I think, in the fabric of our league. But we still aren't talking about basketball.
Yeah. Homophobia, all the things are never okay. And this is where I feel like the players have been failed the most by the media. And we've talked about that. And they need to really check themselves and do a better job and be better prepared to cover this league in the way that it deserves. But I also feel like they have been greatly failed by the league and by Kathy, the commissioner, this year. Like you said, this isn't new. This has been coming from the racism that the South Carolina team has experienced in the last 3-4 years that's been very explicit and, sort of in the consciousness. From the racism that Angel Reese specifically and that the LSU team has experienced in the college landscape, and particularly the rivalry with Iowa, two of the best teams in the country with the biggest players and the best storylines. And you have bona fide superstars in Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark.
Golly, man. Oh, my goodness. What can you say? What is that to say? All you can do is laugh. That's all you can do at this point. That's all you can do. For the life of me. I don't understand it. I really don't. Okay? These women are supposed to be so strong. I'm being told that America has such strong women, right? Especially these liberal women, right? But every single chance they get to show us that they're actually strong, they show us that they're weak as hell. Okay? They're some of the weakest people I've ever seen in my life. For a group of individuals that want to be treated like men, they're showing they have none of the attributes necessary to be treated like men. None whatsoever. These women are sharp and ultra soft. Man, I'm extremely frustrated right now in this country, okay? Between abortion, right, and this nonsense right here, okay? I am bearish on women right now in America, okay? I'm just gonna keep it all the way 100 with you. I'm extremely bearish on modern women right now. I just am. But I can't really blame them, right? Because for as weak as the so-called strong modern woman really is in this country, the liberal man is even weaker. And the reason why we're in this situation in the first place. Roll the next clip.
That is the story for me right now, because this mediocre, unimpressive, grown woman decided she was going to wear this outfit looking like this to a basketball game. And if you can't see, it says ban nails. And she has long, fake nails on her fingers, mocking Dejanay Carrington. Dejanay Carrington, who plays for the Connecticut Sun, who was interrogated all week because when she swiped for the ball, she hit Caitlin Clark in the eye. Forget the fact that Caitlin knew it was unintentional. Everyone watching seemed to think it was unintentional. The goddamn internet decided maybe it was intentional. and it became the story. And if you sense anger in my voice, it's because it's there. Because race in this country is a rubber band, y'all. You got this boatload of new fans because Caitlin Clark is box office, right? And the rest of the rookie class is very impressive. Caitlin Clark is box office. But unfortunately, and inevitably, and the league should have seen this train coming down the tracks, on that bandwagon were folks that weren't fans of basketball, that weren't even actual fans of Caitlin Clark. They were fans of what they thought Caitlin could represent, which was the humbling of black women. And you got this cavalcade of open, unabashed racists who tried to put a hood of Caitlin Clark fandom on, and on social internet, and last night in person, tried their best to terrorize her opposition.
Yo, you can't make this up. You really cannot make this up. You just can't make this up, man. So they have nothing, right? They have nothing, okay? I want you guys to understand. All of these WNBA players and their simps, right? They're liberal men. Again, I can't even blame the women. I always got to look back at the liberal men, okay? Because ultimately, again, this only is happening because liberal men are allowing this, right? This is what they're promoting, okay? They're claiming that they're subject to all this racism, right? These WNBA players. There's no evidence whatsoever of all the alleged racism that is supposed to be happening at these games, right? Apparently, they're being called slurs by fans. Okay, they are, being subject to racial comments and hate and bigotry and all this stuff. But there's no evidence of this stuff, right? There's no evidence of this stuff happening at the game, right? The most evidence that they have is some fan saying, hey, ban long nails. Now, the fan is saying that because you had a black woman who happened to poke Caitlin Clark in the eye, right? Now, I'm not entirely sure why they allow long, fake, hideous nails while these women are playing basketball. I personally think that should be a safety hazard, right? I mean, you could literally poke somebody's eye out with those long nails. I don't understand why women wear these nails at all, okay? I've never found long nails to be attractive. The first question I ask is, how do you wipe your butt, right? How do you wipe your butt with these long ass nails, okay? I instantly question the hygiene of a woman with super long nails. It has to be very hard to clean yourself consistently with those long ass nails. I'm just saying, me personally, okay? I don't understand why it's allowed in the WNBA, okay? But a fan has a problem with it because clearly it's a safety hazard, right? But apparently, according to these people, it is a form of racism for fans to not want these women to wear long nails during the game. And that's basically all they have, right? This is their big hoopla, right, about all the racism going on in the WNBA, right? Fans say, hey, we don't like y'all wearing long nails because we think it's unsafe, which I think that it is unsafe. I think it's totally reasonable to make that complaint, right? Again, considering how Caitlin Clark almost got her eye poked out, okay, by one of these players wearing these long-ass nails. I don't think there's anything racist about it at all. But apparently this is a form of racism. And this is what they have, because they don't have any audio, video, or any real proof of the things that they claim they're being exposed to on a daily basis, right? All the racial slurs and hate. In fact, I remember doing a story about the Chicago Sky going to a hotel in, I believe it was Washington, D.C. And they were alleging that some racist fan was harassing them as they were getting off the bus, right? They couldn't get off the bus because some fan was yelling all types of slurs and saying hateful things to the players, right? And they basically tried to blame racism. Come to find out, what they were complaining about was basically paparazzi. And there was no video evidence whatsoever of the paparazzi guy who was allegedly yelling all these hateful things doing that, right? I mean, the only video evidence that came out basically disproved that the guy wasn't anywhere near the bus, and the things that these players were claiming that happened didn't actually happen, right? It's no surprise that no other videos came out proving that the WNBA players were right, because they were just making it up. They were just making it up. And that's where we're at this point. And they are just hell-bent on destroying their own league because they don't like the fact that white fans are now watching the game. They don't like it. They don't like it. White fans didn't care about the game before. Now all of a sudden you have all these white fans watching the game now. Now they hate it. They can't stand it. Although they're financially benefiting from it, they can't stand it. So now they're calling the fans racist. Yeah, well, you're racist if you didn't like us before. If you didn't watch us before, you watch us now just because of Caitlin Clark, you're racist. We don't want you. We don't want you to support us. This is what they're saying. And we all know without Caitlin Clark, this league would be irrelevant. I mean, look at this. WNBA playoff ratings plummet after Caitlin Clark goes home. So Caitlin Clark is now out of the playoffs. It turns out Caitlin Clark has proven that she's basically a top 10 player in the WNBA, right? Y'all remember at the beginning of the season where everybody was acting like Caitlin Clark wasn't that good, okay? And that she wasn't one of the best players in the league, although it was obvious that she was, right? I mean, she's basically the league MVP in the truest definition of the word MVP. She was MVP on day one, okay? She was MVP before she even got into the league, to be honest with you, okay? And she's led her team to the playoffs. Where's Angel Reese at? On the couch, right? On the couch, okay? Her team was terrible. Anyways, unsurprisingly, the viewership in the WNBA playoffs tanked into the ground after Caitlin Clark was knocked out of the playoffs. So let's read here. The first weekend of the WNBA playoffs without rookie phenom Caitlin Clark were a bit quieter in terms of attention and viewership. After Clark drew a WNBA record 1.84 million viewers to her first playoff game against the Connecticut Sun on September 22nd while competing with an NFL Sunday, she followed it up with another record audience of 2.54 million viewers for Game 2. Clark and the Indiana Fever lost both those games, however, sending Clark home for the offseason. Now, the remaining teams contending for the WNBA title are the New York Liberty, the defending champion Las Vegas Aces, and MVP Aja Wilson, the Sun, and the Minnesota Lynx. The first game between the Aces and Liberty, a rematch of last year's WNBA Finals between two of the league's most popular and successful teams, drew an audience of 929,000, ESPN announced, which is 50% less than the Fever's Game 1 against the Sun. Still, it was historically good for any WNBA playoff game that doesn't involve Clark, as it was better than any of the TV numbers for the finals games between the two teams last year. Okay, so this is basically the residual effect of having Caitlin Clark in the league, right? She's brought in so many new fans that these other teams are benefiting, right? But when she's not playing, there's a huge drop-off in viewership. Meanwhile, Game 1 of the Sun Lynx series had an audience of just around 650,000, which is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Again, compared to the audience for Caitlin Clark, right? Again, these are the people that are hell-bent on trying to run these same fans out of the league, right? This is what they're trying to do. Both of those games have also fallen well behind some of Clark's regular season games in terms of viewership as well. In early September, Clark's Indiana Fever played in front of a TV audience of 1.26 million viewers in a game against the Minnesota Lynx that was played at the same time as a Week 1 Friday night NFL game between the Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay Packers. In Clark's first regular season finale against the Washington Mystics on September 19th, a total of 20,711 fans that showed up at Capital One Arena set a new record for the highest attended WNBA regular season contest. On the TV front, Clark made the Fever the most watched team in the WNBA by landslide in her rookie year as the 14 most watched WNBA games of the season, all included in the Fever. Clark's teammate, point guard Kelsey Mitchell, told reporters in September that Clark is the reason that she, as a player, has more attention and fans than before. Yeah, so we all know what's going on here, right? We all know that Caitlin Clark is the reason behind the viewership, and these other women in the league, their jealousy and their hate is leading them down the road of alienating fans because they don't like the fact that nobody gave a damn about them before Caitlin Clark got into the league, okay? Is it bad for me to openly root against the WNBA at this point, right? For me to openly say, you know, I'm kind of hoping that this league fails, right? I'm kind of hoping that all of this comes falling apart just because of the attitude of these players. I personally don't understand why any of the fans that are supporting WNBA right now are currently doing so. Again, especially those fans that the WNBA players are calling racist, right? Like, if the players were calling me racist, okay, as a fan, I'll say, all right, cool, I'm just not gonna watch it, right? Since you think I'm racist, okay, I'm just not gonna watch it. But it's amazing how you don't see this type of boohoo, whine, and crying racism in the NBA like you see in the WNBA, although the NBA is made up of mostly black players as well. Now, sometimes you do see boohoo, whine, and crying racism, right? But not at this level, right? Not at this scale right here, okay? Again, it's just, it really is fascinating, okay, what's happening with the WNBA right now. Again, I've never seen so many people hell-bent on destroying their own success, okay, over jealousy and hate. And is at the point now where even Caitlin Clark is coming out here and denouncing racism and doing a whole bunch of tap dancing that, you know, quite honestly, I don't think she should do, right? I don't think it's in the best interest of the league to do this type of tap dancing when it comes to the whole race thing. You know, at the end of the day, man, like I said, I'm at the point where I'm basically rooting against the WNBA, okay? Just like I was basically rooting against Team USA Soccer, like the women's soccer team, because, you know, they just don't deserve the success they're getting. They just don't. They don't appreciate the fans that are now watching the sport. Although nobody gave a damn about the sport, you know, they begged for the attention. Now they got the attention, and all of a sudden they don't want it because they didn't get the attention the way that they wanted the attention. And they just seem to be ungrateful to me, right? They're just ungrateful. And, you know, if they don't want the fans watching the game anymore, then I say we give them what they want. Just stop watching the game. Just stop watching it, right? Which is what people did when Caitlin Clark was out of the playoffs. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.